Now the most thrilling 20 seconds before the meeting. And welcome everyone to the Lincolnville Select Board meeting. It is the 24th of April. Allergies have got me a little bit, so forgive me. Josh, would you care to read the quote of the evening?
I'm happy to. Don't wait to do something. Mark Bennett.
Succinct. Thank you. And at this point, I would like to open the podium for any non-agenda items. Seeing no one rushing up to the podium, let's move along to the administrator's report.
Beyond the agenda, I don't have much to report with the exception of diligently working behind the scenes on ballots and referendum questions and school ballots for a town meeting. We nomination period closed for various elected offices. We have 3 individuals that return nomination for select board, 2 for the 3-year terms on the budget committee, 2 for the school committee, 1 for the 1-year term on the budget committee. So we still need a budget committee 3-year term and a budget committee 2 if anybody wants to run a write-in campaign.
All right, any questions for David? All right, let's move along to upcoming meetings and announcements.
All meetings are here in the town office unless announced otherwise. The Lakes and Ponds Committee meets Tuesday, April 25th, 7 p.m. The planning board meeting has been canceled because they didn't have anything on their agenda. The EMS Performance Committee meets here Thursday, April 27th, 6 p.m. Lincolnville Central School meets Monday, May 1st, 6 p.m. at the Lincolnville Central School, and the Select Board meets next on Monday, May 8th, 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. Are there any upcoming community events anyone wishes to share? Seeing none, let's move along to the meeting minutes from the 10th of April.
I move that the board approve the April 10th, 2023 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you all very much.
The projector for fall.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And while we get set up, we've got our next agenda item is a meeting with the Lincolnville Sewer District trustees, but we do have a trustee zooming in, yeah? So can I let Paul know that? Yeah, so we're gonna get set up, and as soon as we have him live, we can get rolling, if that makes sense to everyone. Sure. All righty.
The projector works as a laptop works. Dave doesn't slink away into the corner.
If all of the gods and goddesses of the IT world align.
It'll work. It'll work.
And I think for the trustees who are here and members of the public, if the trustees have kind of a brief presentation, that's great. And members of the public that wish to comment, we'll invite that. And then we'll kind of close the conversation back down between the select board and the trustees. Sound good? Great.
So I could just start with some introductory remarks. So we have a lot 87A as an apple down at the beach area. It was the former wastewater treatment facility, but as you know from the tour that you got several months ago, we demoed that facility. We installed a new state-of-the-art septic system and collection treatment facility, sort of right across the street. It's generating 1% bacteria. It's really operating flawlessly. We have a total of 53 potential hookups of which we've satisfied already 35, which is a fantastic ratio given the shortness that we've been sort of in operation. And recently we had the plant demoed and made into essentially a flat parking lot. And we've been contemplating future use of that parcel. And we received your kind note and wishing to engage with us in a conversation about potential future use. So we're here to, entertain whatever you want to discuss with us. And that's sort of where we are right now. This is Chris Struzula, Catherine Littman, and we have Paul Littman on the Zoom. My name is Chris Nickerson, and nice to see all of you.
Madam Chair, we need to restart the little box above the projector.
Excellent.
Apologize to everyone.
It's ladder time.
This will just take a minute or two.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think we should invest in a big stick, so we can do this from the ground.
We will call it the initiation one.
Yeah.
Where's that rake that we did for our last one?
Which button do you need?
Almost. No, it's the wall. It's the wall wart all the way up top. It has to be pulled
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
and,
Manually.
redone.
Hence the ladder.
He's like, I'm almost there.
It's the super high tech
Yeah.
unplug and replug it
Yeah.
back.
Reboot.
Wait 10 seconds.
All I want everybody to know, climb up this ladder. I fell off the ladder like this once and broke my ankle.
Take your time.
I'll catch you.
Nope.
Nope.
Yes.
Yep.
Wait.
10 seconds.
Let's say 10 seconds.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right.
The added drama.
You get the technical expert on it.
It'll work. This is always the problem.
So they're gonna, I think they're
We've
firing.
got a yellow
We
line.
got a yellow light.
They're firing.
Okay.
Yellow light is happy.
We have Paul over there on the laptop.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
in.
okay.
I see his face.
He's just not up here, so we can.
We're in business.
Rest assured,
There it is.
we're good at handling municipal affairs. Technical affairs, working on it. Paul, can you hear us?
He can.
You can hear us.
I can hear you. I
You're
just
still
can't
muted,
talk
Paul.
unless I unmute myself.
Yes. Good. Well, welcome. Thank you. Apologies to everyone for that slight technical delay. Just to catch us up, Chris had just kind of given some preliminary details.
I can repeat it if it's necessary. didn't
No,
know
I
if
don't.
it's
I don't.
Formality wise, okay.
No. I don't. It'll be recorded and all that good stuff. Yeah. So anything else the trustees want to lead the conversation with before we may open it up to any
No, I think we
public
want to
comment?
start with just sort of why we're here and
Great.
leave it to you to direct the discussion.
Okay, great. Does anyone from the public, non-trustees, want to comment on the conversation we're going to have tonight? No? Okay. Great. Board. Questions for the trustees?
Well,
Who wants to go first? Sure, great.
Can you talk a little bit about rent versus purchase per se? I know the town's preference would definitely be purchase.
Our goal is very straightforward. We want to utilize this parcel to maximize long-term monetary value to help maintain the effective and efficient operations of the sewer district. But as well, we want to, at the same time, keep the EDUs, which are the equivalent dwelling units, as low as possible for the residents whom are in that district. So we think of them as shareholders. We want to sort of maximize their shareholder value. And their value is we take in revenue in the form of EDUs, and then we expend around $167,000 is our operating budget. So we're a little business here, and we want to maximize shareholder value by receiving in revenue, and then we have these expenses in the form of our operating expenses. We have accruals for debt service. We have accruals for operating maintenance enhancements. We'd like to expand the district, so we want to take on additional district members as money and time avail itself. And so we look at this as simply a small viable operation. And Steve, to get to your point, we have concluded that the best long-term, to maximize the long-term value at this juncture, we'd like to only entertain lease options on a yearly basis. We have received several offers to lease the property. In all transparency, we haven't received any offers to purchase the property. However, we have not solicited any. We haven't actively solicited the marketplace, including interested parties in Islesboro, I may mention. Our preference would be to avail the town of Lincolnville, the property. That is our preference. Please.
Someone that wanted to buy the property.
We did.
Sorry,
Okay.
hey, couple ground rules.
Yeah.
So the conversation that is gonna happen here will be between the podium and the select board. And so if we're having conversations with trustees at this point, and so other comments, you raise your hand, wait to be recognized by the chair, but while we're engaging with someone at the podium, any other conversations have to
Thank you.
wait. Yeah.
So yes,
Great, thank you.
I believe we've had at least one offer to purchase, and I can't remember the specific details of that. But nonetheless, we've discussed as a board, our strong preference is to do business with the town of Lincolnville on a yearly lease renewal basis, and that we've received several offers to lease it, and we'd like to hear what you have to offer, or what to set, what you want to sort of have us consider. We're not going to be able to make a decision today. We're going to have to go to executive session and talk about this amongst the trustees, but on a very timely basis, we'd love to get back to you.
I'm just curious, you having stated the reasons for a lease, what are the reasons either for or against purchase options?
Right, so we'd have to entertain certain purchase price offers, of course, but our going forward preference is that of flexibility. We want to be able to walk a mile, see a mile, and on a yearly basis, we want to determine what the highest and best use is to maximize the value of it long term. This is a long-term asset, the Lincolnville Sewer District, and so we want to make sure that we can monetize the value of that property over an extended period of time, not just a one-off purchase.
If you're not encumbered by any restrictions
No.
to sell it?
No, not whatsoever.
Okay.
We have also concluded among the trustees that a parking lot is perhaps the best use for concerned parties, including the town of Lincolnville. We've joked amongst ourselves what we could possibly do with that little parcel, but in all seriousness, some form of parking facility, given the acute issues down there, I think would be in everyone's best interest.
Agreed.
So, right.
Well, I think, I don't want to speak for the board, but I think each board member could assert what their interest would be to the trustees for you to take back and consider.
Sure, please.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Steve, would you like to begin?
Sure. Where I sit, the 1 year, similarly to your need of want to keep it, the flexibility is two-edged sword. And for the town, that's not reasonable. To lease it on an annual basis with not knowing what's going to happen in future years is untenable to the general population of the town.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, Kern?
My vision was to, and always has been, for the town to own that. And it would be an extremely tough sell to go to the people who are already supporting it and not able to use it and try to sell a lease, especially if we couldn't do a long-term lease. inevitably, I would like to see us come to a term of the town being able to own it.
Right. And can you
And-
clarify
and
your, oh, sorry, please.
Go ahead.
Can you clarify the first part of your statement? The people that are supporting it, can you tell me what that means?
Taxpayers of the town of Lincolnville.
Taxpayers, how, and how
You've
in your,
got taxpayers paying to be on the system, and then the rest of the town is paying for the system to be paid for.
right, okay. And you're specifically referring to the $19,000 a year
Correct.
Contribution.
Correct.
And you feel that that 19,000 sort of is worthy of utilizing that property in some way, shape, or form, right?
No,
Okay,
no, it's a lot more than that.
say it again. So say more.
It's a lot more than just the 19,000. You've got a huge number of taxpayers making up the difference from the ones that are actually paying for it. The ones that are on it, you don't have enough people on it to pay for it. The rest of the people are making up the difference in lieu of the 19,000. We, as representatives, and we as this town need to go back to the town, to the taxpayers, and either sell a lease or sell an ownership.
Mm-hmm.
I feel personally that the ownership is better for the town.
Mm-hmm. Right.
My personal opinion.
So are you saying there's additional value? Are you saying you're contributing more than the 19,000 or just the 19,000? I just want to get clear on this.
More.
Okay, so can you just elaborate a little bit more on what else is the town contributing?
Not just, I'm paying taxes to do the 19,000, but we've got to do something else. So it's going to be more.
You have to do something
Whether
else.
it be a lease,
Oh,
or
I see.
whether it be a purchase.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm trying
Understood.
to rationalize how I'm going to talk to another
Very
taxpayer.
good. Thank you.
And understand it.
I'm just seeking clarity. So it's the 19,000 plus whatever the incremental cost would be to purchase or lease. Is that correct? Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh?
Sure. Have you all read the Collins report from 2017? Are you familiar with that document? So it was a really exciting document that looked at our harbor and the issues with it and the possible options for the future. And I'm looking at part of it now, and so much of it has to do with rebuilding that boat ramp, potentially have floating docks out there. And this piece of property that we're talking about is such an integral part of making that happen, to really expand our harbor use to many more Lincolnville residents, because as it is, that boat ramp is not really useful in most tides.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had the assumption that we would be offered the option to purchase this property after the Lincolnville Sewer District acquired it. It wasn't an explicit promise, but maybe that was just my mistaken assumption. And this would be a really massive investment in this infrastructure, and obviously that's not possible with the year-to-year lease. So yeah, I really hope that we can come to an agreement on a purchase price for the good of the whole town.
Okay.
No, I agree with Josh and what has been said. A short-term lease ties the hands of the town for future development of the harbor. And it is a very tough sell to make financially. I'm not so sure, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a permitting person, but I'm not so sure of the commercial use of that, value of that property.
Yeah.
Given its location. You intended as a parking lot, only so many parking spaces, especially given where it is, close to the shoreline zone,
Right.
limited use in that district, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So it seems to me the best possible, not the best possible use in the legal term, but for that property is to be an element in future development of the harbor, for the sake of the town folks. I don't see how the lease gets us to one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll echo what everyone has said here. The Collins report would be highly edifying document for your group to read and consider in terms of where we're coming from. But basically, we would need to be able to fold that property into the abutting property, which is our boat ramp area.
Right.
For its highest and best use, which would be improving the functionality of the boat ramp and also enhancing parking for our boaters.
Right.
Which is essentially non-existent. Trailer parking doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so for, I don't even know how many years now, that's been sort of the dream board, the vision board
Understood.
that this has been an integral part of. And so that, so a purchase, it would be impossible to negotiate this yearly and then allocate or ask for the voters to raise and appropriate any kind of funds to do what it is that property really needs for it to be a functional property for the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understood. What percentage of the use of that parcel would be for sort of commercial fishermen versus the Lincolnville residents who wanted to go boating for the day? Because we know there's a significant interest. There has been historically a lot of parking on what is, could be perceived as private property. So what is that percent allocation in your view, commercial use versus, residential use?
Well, I think that largely would be to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
The Collins report does lay out a number of different scenarios, but certainly trailer parking for, there's a massive issue both in terms of having enough room for both our commercial users, but also recreational users. And the conversations that previous boards have had, and this board continues to have, is seeing the integration of your lot and the boat ramp area as a way to scratch the surface, really. I mean, let's be honest, but begin to address some of those issues.
Yeah. No,
so I can't give you a specific number.
Understood. Okay. And is there a purchase price that the town and selectmen have in mind?
I wouldn't say specifically. I think, we would want to have an appraiser, put us in a direction of a fair market value. I can't imagine that we would want to try to steal it from you guys, in the name of public service. We recognize that revenues are important, and having funds to help support your organization to do what it needs to do. And so in that light, I think it would be fair for us, fair for you, and then also a very fair argument to put forth to our voters to say, this would be a reasonable price. Does that make sense?
It does.
Start there.
So they don't have a number now,
Yeah.
but then that would be, we would say potentially make a motion to direct our town administrator to get that rolling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to sort of reiterate back from square one, you're looking at 4 volunteers here who are residents and business owners, and we personally don't have any skin in the game or agenda. We purely want to represent those individuals who have a monetary and economical and environmental expectation that the plant be run properly, that it be run compliantly. It's already done a huge service to the community in terms of cleaning up the Penn Bay, and that can be scientifically articulated if you would like. So it's a wonderful success story, and Paul and Catherine Littman and others have just contributed Herculean effort over decades in this cause, and so we simply want the goodness to continue. Everybody's watching every dollar and penny right now, whether you're a resident or, in my case, I'm one of the biggest taxpayers into the system at the West 2 Pub. we're all very mindful of how little money goes these days. And we're proud to say we did not raise the EDU rates this year. We've been able to live within our means. And all we're trying to do is monetize that property such that we can continue to give good value for the district so that we can take on additional customers, right? So if you provide a good service at good value, you can take on additional customers and continue to extend out the goodness up Beach Road and then north on Route 1, where we've already contemplated certain extensions, because we did buy a plant design that does have excess capacity.
Yeah. And in that spirit, I think, as Josh brought up, the Collins report is very much in that spirit of how can we take what we've kind of made do with that doesn't really work for anyone and enhance that property so that it is much more inclusive to the larger community. Because to Kern's point about taxpayers contributing to things that they don't necessarily use, we all do that. I don't have children in the school, but but there's a lot of people that pay taxes towards the harbor facilities and they can't use them.
Right.
And so making incremental steps towards that would, I think, feel really good to everybody. And I also think that we could be really good partners with the sewer district in terms of your right of ways over the property for power service and I forget what else.
Yeah, the outflow pipe.
Yeah, correct.
Sure.
So being able to work together in that way going forward would be a sort of known quantity.
Sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. Paul, did you have anything that you wanted to add, or please, if there's anything? You're on mute.
Yeah,
I
thank
think.
you, yeah. Oh, that's fine.
1 second.
Yeah,
Okay.
not the computer savvy person I need to be here. Sorry about that. But am I allowed to speak?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard, I've heard how the select board feels about this, and of course, we've had a lot of discussion over time about it, and I think basically what's going to have to happen here is we're going to have to hear a number that makes us comfortable. And, quite frankly, we know that there's numbers out there that would make us feel comfortable. And of course, we would like the town of Lincolnville to be able to use this property. And we're just trying to do the best we can for the 60 some properties that we have at the beach there and try to keep their user rates down. And, nobody wants to raise taxes. We've actually, we've taken kind of great risk to not raise the EDU rate. And we're trying to live up to our promise that we would not raise from the 635 that we promised years and years ago, that we were long past the time frame when this plant was supposed to be online and operating, and we're still at that 635 right now, which makes us happy. And so I hate to say it, but we're in a cash strap situation where we have to use our assets to the best of what we can. So, that's what I have to say. So, that being said, I guess we're just going to have to, maybe all of us get in an executive session and talk finances. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
All right.
So there's sort of competing goodwills here, right? And
Sure.
I guess that's a good thing. Wastewater and sewage management is an interest, should be an interest, not only at the beach, but at the center, and in fact, the entire town of Lincolnville. And I think that's a broader conversation we can have at some point.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
The governance of this Lincolnville sewer district is quite unusual.
Well, so given the fact that you all need to convene and have further explore what this would look like to you, would you be amenable if we moved forward with engaging with someone to look at creating a fair market value that we feel like we could offer you with a straight face and begin that process of conversation?
Yeah, why don't we convene quickly as a trustee and discuss appraisals, and get back to you in a very timely manner. How's that sound? But yeah, I think neither of us know sort of the fair market value of that property. It's a very interesting property. It's oceanfront on Penn Day, and yet it's
with a lot
tiny.
of restrictions.
And, there's a lobster pond right next to it, and there's
Yeah.
a boat launch next to it. So it's not, it's a curious property, which inherently is difficult to appraise.
Yeah.
But I think we're on the same page that let's get an objective third party to evaluate it.
Yeah, Paul.
I have my hand up.
Yep.
And we also have a bunch of money invested in it because we had to buy it. And then we had to tear the plant down. And we can't go backward from there. So there is a absolute bottom line.
Would you be willing to share a couple of those numbers, not right now, but say with our town administrator?
No, I'm not sharing them now, but yeah, we can go over that. terrain.
Okay, great, yeah. Just because, if we can be informed, then that would be great. Anything that will be helpful to get to a clear understanding would be great. Well, to that end, does someone want to make a motion, please?
Let's see.
Well, I'll try to start.
Yeah.
I would simply move that we direct the town administrator to start to find an appraiser to begin appraising that property. I don't know what else is involved.
Towards the means to potentially engage in a purchase and sale agreement with the Lincolnville Sewer District.
We can add that if you want. Yeah.
Sound good to everyone?
I don't know.
Someone want to second that motion?
Second.
The joint motion?
The joint motion, okay. Yeah, figure it out, Melissa, how are you going to write that one down?
You got it, she's all over it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And we really appreciate you all coming in to chat with us about this. We're here almost every other Monday, so let's get together and chat as soon as reasonably possible.
Good, well, we appreciate the time.
Before we.
Oh, hang on one second. Chris, anything else? Board, anything else for Chris before we get him out of the hot seat?
Nope.
Very
Okay.
comfortable up here.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Catherine, did you want to come up and address the board? You have to,
Yes.
you got it. And introduce yourself, please.
I'm Catherine Lick.
That way the folks watching at home can.
I'm manager of the district.
Okay.
You mentioned about the Collins report. I don't have no idea what you're talking about. So it'd be nice if we could have a copy of that or.
We will get
somehow-
you a copy. Yep.
Yeah, is that something to do with Dewan?
No.
Who designed the, okay.
No, we engaged,
It's finalized in 20, it was.
2016.
16,
Yeah.
when it started.
yeah. And it was on our website.
It's
It
just,
Is it still?
Still
Yeah,
It's
but
still
we'll,
there, yeah.
we'll email
get it to
you a
you.
copy. Yeah,
Okay.
so you'll all have it. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And
It's a great document.
that's, yeah, I'd like to read it. And the other thing I just want to mention, the district was formed in 2010. That's when our charter was formed. And Paul has been on the Board of Trustees since then. His term is up for renewal in the fall, October. We cannot find trustees. We have a very small district. They have to live within the district. Someone that's capable to take over the district and run it is a tough thing. I just want to let
We
you know that.
appreciate your struggle.
And so if you guys have any suggestions of people that could possibly help us run this sewer district, it would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, that's it for me.
Thanks so much. All right, folks, thank you for coming in.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
don't
Really
feel
appreciate
obligated to stay for the whole meeting, but you're more than welcome
It's very
to.
entertaining, yeah. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks much.
Thanks,
See you
Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Moving along, we have a liquor license renewal from Ruff Incorporated, doing business as the Inn at Sunrise Point. We have a representative here tonight. Do we have questions for the representative? There are no questions. Oh, you do?
I just have one, I think there's a typo on page 3, Mary Jane Ruffing's date of birth. It says the year 2000, but then it says further down 1960. So I think 1960 is probably the correct one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah, and the only other thing that was just absent is the actual distance from Bay Shore Baptist Church. So if we can get that line filled in before it goes back to the state would be excellent.
And I
You don't, just, but
Yeah.
administratively, by the time it goes to the state, we'll get the actual distance put there on that line for you. That's okay. Got it, this is bureaucracy, we gotta cross our Ts and dot our Is, you know. Anything else? If there's nothing else, can I have a motion?
I move that,
Ooh.
Kurt, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I dare you, Kurt.
I
Go
talk
ahead.
often.
So I move that the board approve and sign the liquor license application submitted by Ruff Inc., doing business as the Inn at Sunrise Point.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you all very much, and thank you for coming in.
Can I ask one question?
Okay, you gotta come up to the podium, though. That way, the legions of viewers at home can
Absolutely.
participate.
When can I pick it up? Because I open May 1st,
Yep,
so if there's a little timing thing.
we'll sign it tonight. It should be ready tomorrow.
Ready at the counter tomorrow.
Yep,
Okay, thank you.
yes,
All
absolutely.
right,
Thank you very much.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
a good
have a
night.
good night.
You too.
And moving right along, we have an application for a catered function by a qualified catering organization. Both in this case are Stone Cove Catering, and we don't have a representative from that particular group. Other than the, at least for me, very blurry image that I wish was a little bit better. At least the way it translates into our
I
path.
think the original is slightly better, but
Slightly
Okay,
better.
Not much.
I'm using my owl book in here.
But
Yeah.
other than that, I can't find fault with it. So if someone wants to make a motion,
I move the board approve and sign the catering permit as submitted by Stone Cove Catering for an event occurring at 24 Stone Cove Road on August 2nd, 2023, between the hours of 5:30 PM and 9 PM.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? And a second motion, please.
I move that the board approve and sign the catering permit as submitted by Stone Cove Catering for an event occurring at 24 Stone Coast Road on September 30th, 2023, between the hours of 5 PM and 8 PM.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you all very much. And moving rapidly along, David, we have a do-over.
Do-over, yes.
Ish.
Never pays to skip a meeting, which I obviously didn't attend and didn't have the minutes from. When we put the fee schedule for Midcoast Solid Waste on the board's agenda last time, but the board of directors at Midcoast Solid Waste had voted to recommend that the fees start June 1st versus July 1st. So,
Happy to amend it. Who wants to make the motion?
I will. I move that the board rescind its April 10th, 2023 vote regarding the Midco Solid Waste Corporation pay-as-you-throw fee schedule, and that the board approve the Midco Solid Waste Corporation proposal to increase the pay-as-you-throw fee schedule as of June 1st, 2023, establishing the price of the 33-gallon bag at $3 per bag, the kitchen waste bag at $2 per bag, and the per ton fee of $225 per ton.
Show off.
Boom.
I love it when you do that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
I love to talk, so that's really why I joined the board.
That was a good one. Okay, so moving along, as Board of Assessors, we need to have a motion first, please.
I move that we suspend our meeting as the select board and that we convene as Board of Assessors.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you very much. And you have the memo enclosed from the assessor's agent. And so if there are no questions, I will entertain a motion.
I move that the board approve and sign the certified ratio declaration forms prepared by the assessor's agent.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you very much. And a final motion, please.
I move that we adjourn our meeting as the Board of Assessors and reconvene as the select board.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you all very much. And moving rapidly along, we had a whopping 2 very different respondents to the bids or bid responses for the roof at the bandstand. The recommendation is for the low bidder. Any questions for David on this one, or does someone care to make a motion?
I move that the Breezemere Park Bandstand roofing project be awarded to APL Roofing and Construction for the sum of $37,775.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
Yeah, just one thing.
Yeah.
I hope in the future that we have a workshop or some discussion about getting value for that property. We're putting money into it, rightly so, for maintenance purposes, et cetera. But I'm afraid that we're not monetizing the property we perhaps could. We're managing that property.
Interesting. Yeah.
And we might want to revisit the written agreement that is on file and see if that still applies to our needs.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Yep. Agreed. Good
I think we
conversation for the
have other
future.
properties that we need to incorporate in that conversation.
Yep,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Bigger picture.
Mhm.
Yep. All right. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Thank you all very much. And we have a recommendation for the Calderwood Road Engineering and Survey Consultant. Does anyone have questions for David on this? If there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the board authorize the town administrator on behalf of the board to enter into a professional services agreement with Oliver Associates, Inc. of Winterport for the engineering and surveying associated with the planned reconstruction of Calderwood Lane.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. And you have before you a special town meeting warrant for the LCS budget. You can see that both the budget committee and the school committee are in favor of all of the articles,
no,
or most of them.
there was,
Sorry.
well, they're in favor, but there was one disagreement on Article 8, but it was
Yeah.
only a single member. Sorry.
Yeah. Any questions for David on this? Yes, you're right, there is the one.
Is this the appropriate time to ask David how it stands with one of the possible warrant articles, the land use ordinance modification? I know it's with the town attorney.
That's
right now.
one.
Nope. That's next,
This is the school committee.
next agenda.
Oh,
item.
that's,
LCS.
okay, I'm totally wrong. Sorry, never
Yeah.
mind.
Very close.
I'll entertain a motion then.
Time warp.
I move that the board approve and sign the special town meeting warrant for May 15th, 2023.
Do you have a second?
Second, yeah.
All right, any discussion? It is May 15th.
Yeah.
It's a special meeting.
Yes.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Thank you all very much. And now we have our annual town meeting warrant. And questions for David?
Well, David, is this the appropriate time to ask you if what the attorney's doing with the draft of, that was applied for the land use ordinance?
You had
Yes.
in your space when you sat down,
Yeah, no,
What I
I
received-
saw that, but
what I received today from the town attorney, which is the, I don't know what you call it, marked up, corrected, whatever,
okay,
version of the land use ordinance amendments that would go to the voters to make our land use ordinance consistent with everybody's best read of the
well, what, no,
Public law
yeah, I saw the
2021.
paper, I can't find it right now, but I didn't see any, like, summary explanation from her saying this stinks, or this doesn't stink, or these are the main changes I made. Did she make any comments?
these don't stink because
Because she passed it on to us.
right, she
Okay,
doesn't
yeah.
pass on work
Okay,
that
good enough,
stinks.
yeah, okay.
She did make some changes to what came forward from Mid-Coast Council of Governments, but as I think, well, I don't know if everybody knows, the guidance from the state on this has been lacking, I guess is the best way I'll put it, to be polite. And they haven't done any rulemaking, and they're contemplating amending the law, but those haven't been decided as yet. So the guidance was, we think you ought to try to adopt amendments as best you can, and then if we have to do amendments when the guidance comes out,
Oh, here you go.
we'll do it.
All right, yeah, Josh?
I have a question. I was just curious. Article 13, the budget committee did not agree with the select board. I'm just
Yeah.
curious
Yeah.
what specifically they didn't agree with.
What is it?
On the cemeteries, the project, they had, the budget committee recommended the repair and resetting, but not the cleaning of the stones in that cemetery. So that's the difference in the dollars.
We do have a representative from the budget committee here. Would you care if you wish to stick your neck out and speak on behalf of the
Is there
budget
some
committee?
rationale
I'd
there?
be very interested.
Well.
Yep, yes.
My recollection is slightly different than David's. We discussed the cleaning ad nauseum, but we didn't refuse the cleaning. The idea was that we were hoping to budget for just doing the Fletcher Cemetery this year, instead of having the budget cover all of those cemeteries that were listed. That's what I took down in the notes anyway.
That was what we recommended.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there was misunderstanding in the committee. The amount of the 16,000 versus the 6,000, right, roughly, it seemed like that amount was because it was all 6 of the abandoned cemeteries when we added it all up.
No,
Okay.
I'll admit that
We're digging deeper.
I think it was laid out in a
Confusing way. It was
confusing way.
confusing, yes.
Yeah.
We had a lot
but
of
anyway,
discussion
this
about
is
it.
neither the time nor place to
but that's-
rehash decisions.
Right,
that have already
but that
been
is
made.
why the budget committee voted to reduce the amount, because we were trying to put in an appropriate amount for the one and not funding
Fair enough.
everything.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Okay. Does someone care to make a motion, please?
I move the board approve and sign the annual town meeting warrant for June 13th and June 15th, 2023.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Thank you all very much. And we have our winter road maintenance agreement before us. Does someone want to plug their nose and make a motion, or do we have questions for the town administrator? Yes, Josh.
So this is the same price we originally got from them for a 7-year agreement?
No.
What was it in the first, their first offering?
I'd have to go down the hall and grab it, to be honest with you, but
Yeah, it is. Not by much, but.
It probably was somewhere between $1,000 to $1,300 more per mile.
Okay.
So, I got two questions. I thought we weren't gonna go 7 years. And this reads that he's stocking the sand. Stocking our sand.
You haven't decided to go any length of time as yet? The least costly of the options, at least in year one, is for a longer term contract, because in essence, the town is paying for the trucks over a longer period of time versus a shorter period of time. And this has the sand broken out that we'd be buying it by the yard versus in the contract
Right, not
price.
included in the per mile price.
So if we use 500, we're gonna fill the shed again with 500, and if we use 1,000, we're gonna fill the shed again with 1,000, versus using none and get paid for 4,000.
And the 7 years included in here because it's the most
That's
economical.
a long time, but it'll be, it's a 1-year renewable 6 more times. If you choose to not fund it.
Right.
That's the only out, really, is if you don't fund it. The town meeting doesn't fund the work.
The non-appropriation clause.
Yeah.
Okay.
Snow plowing contractors are few and far between, and it's not getting any cheaper.
Well, given what you just said, even though locking the town in for any obligation for 7 years, this scares me or worries me.
Despite the non-appropriation.
Yeah, despite that, because you're not fighting the battle again, but you're revisiting that issue again, perhaps. And it's still, it's a good thing. It's a 7-year commitment, even with an out. But what I'm going to say is that we may be thankful 6-7 years from now that we made this deal, because plowing people are few and far between.
Maybe, and I, not to disagree with you, but I feel like if this board or a future board has some epiphany of a better definitive version of the future that they wish to explore, we have those options.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, I understand, no, I agree.
So
I just,
we don't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
Not-
We have one option at this point.
Yeah, they're good, yeah, because winter is coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to say that I hope a future board very seriously investigates the possibility of buying our own trucks and doing our own plowing.
Of options.
Just have that option, so if it is more economical, to have that ready to go before the 7-year contract is up, or even sooner. In a hypothetical, if we had if we had planned this 2-3 years ago, maybe it would have even saved us money. Maybe we could have done it, but that's it. That's not important now, but just for the future, something that a future board should seriously look at.
Yeah.
Because there are towns, as David had said, I think a few meetings ago, that there are towns smaller than us that have done it, and it makes sense for them. So it could make sense for us in the future. We should discount it.
Yep. So to that point, does someone care to make a motion?
Well, it's a long motion, Josh, but you probably are out of wind, right?
I move that the town administrator be authorized on behalf of the board to enter a 7-year agreement with Farley Inc. for winter road maintenance, with the first year cost for roads to be $7,910 per mile, the parking lot price to be $25,360, the price for stockpile winter sand to be $17.50 per cubic yard, and that the escalation factor be based on the annual Social Security cost of living adjustment.
Okay.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion.
Well, I just need to say this. I'm extremely disappointed. And one, I was extremely disappointed that this was the only contractor that submitted the bid. But I feel that that is partly the fault of this board and previous boards by not stepping outside the box and going with somebody else when we had the chance to. And I feel that this contractor knows he's got us in a corner. We've had the same problems with this contractor year in and year out, or year after year, I guess is a better way to put it. Have the roads been plowed? Yes. Have the roads been sanded? Yes. Have our dirt roads been salted? Yes. Every year. There's proof of it. And now we're moving away from contractor who has done a very good job of supplying us with sand. Over the last 10 years, maybe 5, I don't know. David's got the numbers, I don't, but I know it hasn't been this contract that's been supplying us with that. I feel we would be shooting ourselves in the hip, or we are shooting ourselves in the foot by getting away from that contract. I feel that this contractor is using that as a manipulating tool. It looks decent on paper. I don't feel that we're going to be any better off. My own personal opinion, I'm in the corner. I have to vote for this. I'm not happy about it. I don't feel the town is going to be happy about this. I went to 2 contractors to get them to try to put in a bid. They all knew that Farley was going to be the bidder. And they said, one of them looked me square in the eye and said, why bother? You're going to give it to Farley anyway.
Which is so not fair.
It isn't fair, but were they wrong?
No.
Where's
that bid though?
7 years. I know.
Where's
I
that
know.
bid?
I know. And I told him, my answer was, if Farley's the only bidder, then they're the ones that's going to get it.
Yeah.
So I need a bid to look at, and we need a bid to look at.
Yeah.
It's, the same thing happened with us with floats. Give it all to one vendor, nobody's going to bid.
Yeah.
We had our reasons, but that's what happened. So
Yeah.
I'm just not happy with this contractor, and I'm trying to do the best I can for the town by listening to the townspeople and looking at the numbers. And I'm disappointed. I can't vote any other way but the way I've got to vote, but I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
And to Josh's point, I think that it's incumbent upon this board and any future board to continue to try to do the best that we can for our voters. And going into a winter without a plowing contractor isn't an option, but that doesn't prevent us from continuing to think about what our options are, for sure. Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you all very much. Kern, do you have an update for us?
I have nothing to say. I'm sorry.
Josh, do you have an update for us?
I do not have an update.
Mike, do you have an update?
I may have too much to say here.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy,
sorry.
you're gonna make up for everybody else.
Sorry. But no, two things. One, I want to provide an update of the most recent Heart and Soul Committee, see how they're doing. You've got the meeting minutes, but I wanted to give that an update.
It seems like there's a lot of nuance
There is.
trapped within those minutes.
There is, but, and I wasn't able to make the last meeting, so I'm just kind of reporting what Susan has printed out for me. And that is that there's going to be another meeting on the 2nd at the Wales Tooth at 6 p.m., in which there will be around questions that people are going to start rehearsing and learning, which the Heart and Soul Committee group is finally focused on the questions that they will be asking people to try to get their input on what they like about the town, what they want to see the same, what they want to see changed perhaps, what they want it to be like in 10 years. And and they've gotten, it sounds like a great response, 27 people so far who are interested in being the question askers, the interviewers.
That's great.
So there's going to be a training continued training on the 2nd.
Great.
At the Wales Tooth. Chris has given up that. So there's going to be refreshments, the whole 9 yards. And also that just wanted to report that the school librarian has gotten a lot of students involved, and we have just a lot of data from the students. All right. But it's going well.
Great.
And so it's there's also the next meeting, if anybody's interested, is the May 11th. So hard for me to think May already, but yeah, May 11th at 4:30 at the library.
All right. Excellent.
Well, that's just half of what I have to say.
Let's hear the other half.
All that paper in your packet in section A is just a report back from that regional planning coordination meeting that the Maine Council of Governments had a few weeks ago. And I went there. There were around 20, more or less, people from 5 different towns at the Searsmont town office. So there were around 24 people in the room. What you simply have in there is the services and the plans that they intend to offer to towns in the area. And I included that in there because there are a lot of grant opportunities and funding opportunities, and their job is to make those very known to us. And just wanted to point out a few of them, and so you guys can look at them. If there's something that piques your interest, I would suggest that we follow up in a regional way. And they will probably be having monthly meetings. I don't know what venues are available. I know at Searsmont, they did not have the technology to get everybody to Zoom in and do a PowerPoint presentation and have a live meeting. So I don't know, the proper venue may be tough to find. But there was a lot of interest. Like I said, there are 5 towns: Brooks, Searsmont, Waldo, Lincolnville, Liberty.
Excellent.
It's good. Yeah, so they are invested in Waldo County. They've got a full-time planner, lives in Searsmont, very excited, passionate about just seeing what the shared interests of towns are. And of course, everybody raised their hands at culverts,
Of course.
Yeah, right. Roads, culverts.
It's exciting stuff.
It is.
Well, thanks, Mike. Steve, do you have an update for us?
I do not.
And I don't as of yet, but we'll at our next meeting. Very exciting stuff. We have the treasurer and payroll warrants to approve and sign.
Move the board approve and sign the treasurer's and payroll warrants. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And if there's no more business the board has to attend to, I will entertain a final motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? You want to argue rapidly against?
On the first one that comes by, there's only space for 3 signatures. So two stragglers on the end, they said, well, the